and dwell on thinking that he was an orphan. He further stated that the homestead remains unoccupied because no one lives there any longer.
Orphan.
Mr. Nkata, did you capture that? Let's continue. He further stated that the homestead remains unoccupied because no one lives there anymore.
Convicted murderer Enoch Ndou being sentenced an effective life imprisonment by the Thohoyandou High Court that was sitting just outside Louis Trichardt in Limpopo. He shot and killed 7 of his family members at Jimmy Jones village near Malamulele on Christmas Day in 2021. SABC News reporter Pimani Baloyi is part of our team tracking that story. She joins us now live. And Pimani, Judge Tidada was not necessarily holding back, didn't mince his words in that judgment.
Good morning, Ayanda. Yet again, you are right. Judge Chidada did not mince his words again, stating that Mr. Ndou had other revenues that he could have pursued instead of killing the 7 family members. What is one of the biggest takeaways, Ayanda, is that he was convicted to life imprisonment, as you rightfully stated. That life imprisonment is because the judge found that the death of Mpondo was actually premeditated. He says the other matters just happened because he was there, he had the gun. But in terms of Mpo's killing, he had planned it. Judge Shidada also saying that he had even spoken about it with other people in and around the area, stating that even though with the others, he gave him 15 years imprisonment. So it's 15 years imprisonment and 1 life sentence, which are all going to be running concurrently. And that sentence will start being served today. We do know that one of the deceased was a pregnant woman, Miss Portia Jauge, who was heavily pregnant. We were told she was a few days away from delivering a baby. So if you actually look at it, Ayanda, it's actually 8 lives that were lost. But today, Mr. Ndou will start serving that sentence. I'm going to bring in family members just to get their reaction. Ayanda, when we first, in 2021 on Christmas Day, my colleague Ulisani Lewebe and I actually were one of the first to arrive at the Ndou family. On that day, we were supposed to do a Christmas Day story. We were scheduled to visit an orphanage, but we had to go to Jimmy Jones and speak to the Ndou family. And Mr. Calvin, but Calvin here was one of the family members that we got reaction from. But Calvin, 4 years later, finality, Mr. Ajidowi Enoch Ndou, your uncle, has been sentenced for killing your brother, his wife, and your nephews and nieces.
Yeah, we know about the outcome, but the law is law. We can't change anything. We're just hoping that as he's in, he can stay for longer. Because, like, as family, we fear him. We fear that if he may come out soon, like before 10 years, he might come out and still want to shoot the rest of us. So we're just hoping that he can stay for as long as possible in jail.
Thank you so much. But Calvin, there's also the younger brother, Mr. Fatuani. What's your reaction? I understand you were also part of the witnesses who were called in aggravation. How is the family feeling about this sentence?
Look, we are okay. We're pleased, especially with the sentencing for count 1, where he was given life sentence. But we're also pleased with the rest of the counts where the judge only gave him 15 years and stuff. Because we feel the whole thing was just premeditated and stuff. The rest of it would have just, we was planning basically use it as a cover-up, but the whole thing was premeditated basically.
His demeanor in court is always maintained he has bipolar. What did you read of his demeanor? He kept interrupting the proceedings.
I think that was just part of the plan, really. That was just part of the plan, just to get attention from the media and all that. But he's okay, really.
Thank you so much. Ayanda, that's Thohoyandou Ndou and Calvin Ndou reacting to that 15 years imprisonment of their uncle, Mr. Enoch Ndou. As I was stating, Ayanda, it was a very eventful court proceedings where we saw as the judge continued, words such as often seemed to trigger Mr. Ndou when the judge was talking about that one child who was 9 at the time of the shootings, how the family gave evidence and aggravation stating that he is traumatized by the incident and that he's been left as an orphan. And Mr. Ndou just reacted to say he too is an orphan. He doesn't understand why the word orphan is being used. But also when the judge said that the murder specifically of Limpopo was premeditated, Mr. Ndou said premeditated. He said that is a shame. We are not clear what he meant, but it's a shame. But those are the words that he said. And he kept interrupting. There would be times where he would be banging against the witness, the dock where he was sitting in, and he would keep reacting. And when the judge finally handed down the sentence, you know, by law, judge asked accused to stand up so that they would receive their sentences. Mr. Ndou refused. The court orderly tried to get him to rise so he would receive his sentence, and he refused. He continued sitting down. So these are some of gimmicks that we've seen in that court throughout this entire trial since Mr. Ndou was started being sentenced here. And these are things that during the course of the proceedings, his lawyer said they were noting and they might use as arguments that they would put forward to argue that this might not have been a fair trial. But today, when we tried to speak to his lawyers, they were not necessarily interested to speak to us about a way forward. So effectively from today, Mr. Ndou is convicted for life imprisonment. He's starting to serve it today. Ayanda?
Wow, Pimani, Baloyi, thanks very much indeed for that. Pimani's live to us there from Limpopo.